Okay, hi, welcome to my typing video. My name is Paul and I'm 38 years old. I'm gonna have to read on script as much as possible because I'm not the best public speaker. However, I'm gonna try to go off script as much as possible so you can get a accurate testing. I'm not the best speaker without something in front of me, so if I need like a laptop where I can see like a website, for example. So I'm gonna kind of do that. I'm gonna prop my laptop up there and talk about some things, but that's down the road. Right now I'm just gonna do kind of like a basic introduction about myself. Your questions aren't exactly my favorite. They just kind of kill the momentum, I suppose. But I'll eventually get to them. I'm really hoping I can do 60 minutes. But if I can't, I just want to shoot for at least maybe like 30 minutes, and maybe I can do another video down the road. This is kind of my second attempt at doing a video. The first time I did a video, I lasted about 15 minutes, so I was pretty proud of myself. I have my setup. I'm talking into a camera that I have from work. I have my telephone right here and my laptop there. So hopefully this all works out. And I have a microphone on top of the camera. It's a pretty high-tech setup, so I'm pretty impressed. Basically, it's taken me about a month of preparation, just kind of here and there, just typing out notes. I kind of wanted to see what time it is. I did start, I think, let's say I started around 5:55-ish. Okay. So hopefully I can go an hour. So I have about 6 pages of Google Notes that I've kind of written. I don't know if that's going to be enough or not. So I'm pretty excited to get my typing result, but I'm not excited to do this video. It's kind of akin to torture. It's just something you don't do on a regular basis. I'm not a YouTube celebrity or whatever, and I really don't want to be a celebrity like that, so this is kind of out of character for me. So I appreciate your patience. I'm going to be kind of choppy or whatever. I'm going to be looking at my notes and doing all that, but I really appreciate whoever's watching this to be accurately typing me. I'm not sure who I'm going to send this to or if I'm going to make it public. Hopefully I'm not too embarrassed by everything I say. It's going to be difficult though for me to speak about myself because I feel like I'm a very private individual, and some things I just don't want out there, and I hope you can understand that. I don't think some people like just have no filter, and I feel like I definitely have a filter. So I've known about Myers-Briggs for 15 years now, shortly like after the college, and I think I took the test during high school, but I don't think I paid any attention to it whatsoever. I would have loved to know what I tested in high school though. So I don't know if I mentioned that I'm 30 years old, but my name's Paul. I don't know if I said that either. And I'm 38 years old. So I know about Myers-Briggs. I don't think I'm going to tell you my Myers-Briggs type, though. I just like to keep that private as well, and kind of make this a blank slate. Not, I don't know if I could influence you somehow, but it's possible. So I know about the Enneagram as well. I think they're both, beneficial. I know about Socionics, and I think you can get a little bit of wisdom from each one of these, like typing philosophies or personality philosophies. I don't take anything like by the book, for example. I just kind of take on an as needed basis when I'm processing thing, and my mind is just, it just goes to different places when I'm doing that, and whatever wisdom I can draw upon, I find it beneficial. I also have here a note about the Podler personality typing system. I know them as well, and that just they were almost like a cult in a way, and they kind of went off in the deep end. But I study, all the personality systems pretty extensively. Kind of addicted to it, and I just think it's just interesting. It's definitely affected my worldview, and there's probably a part where it's almost where it's diminishing returns in a way, though. When I first learned about Myers-Briggs, it like definitely people are like really different, and I definitely didn't always think that way. So just kind of knowing that fact has helped me deal with everybody in the tribe, per se, in OPS jargon, much more effectively, I feel. So I've known about OPS, I've been watching the YouTube videos maybe for almost 2 years, just here and there, and at first I wasn't like, okay, another kind of system, so I was definitely skeptical, and still I can be skeptical, but I've come around a little bit, and I'm a big fan. So but right now, so I kind of learned about it maybe about 2 years ago. I joined the Facebook group, I think almost 2 years ago too, and I still wasn't fully convinced to get typed until maybe about 6 months ago. I think that came about where I still was kind of convinced I was my Myers-Briggs type, and then I started watching a lot of you probably know his name. His name's Kendrick, and he interviews people about the OPS system. And they were my Myers-Briggs type, and they were like, well, wait a second. So that kind of was a moment where I was like, well, upon more self-reflection, I might not be my Myers-Briggs type, but I could be as well. So it's kind of exciting in that way. But at this point, it's just like I've gone through many cycles in my mind where just whatever type I am. I think Dave talks about in one of his videos where it's like whatever type you're gonna type me, whatever, it's okay. I'll accept it. I'm not gonna fight your typing or whatever. It's not a big deal. So I just want to know my type. And I've kind of have found it difficult to type myself. I know Shan talks about in one of her videos, if you have the SE function, you're kind of like, well, I could be that and I could be that. And what's helped me is not more so doing the coins or whatever, or doing like the test. I mean, I can get a result and that's okay, but actually just watching the interviews of the people And there's so many different types, and it's like, well, I definitely don't think I'm this quadra or whatever you want to call it of a type of people. And it just helps me, when you're getting interviewed, I can just see the video of the person instead of like a celebrity typing list, for example. There's just so many different types, and it's like I can't narrow it down. So I don't know if I have the SE savior function. It's possible, but in my mind, I'm like, I'll watch an interview of somebody, I'm like, oh, that could definitely be me. But then a couple days later, I'm like, nah, I don't think so. So it's interesting where my mind's going, I suppose, and I don't want to get into it because I don't almost want to sound silly, what I think I am, but I'm just gonna try to do this video with you getting accurate typing by getting to know me somehow. So we'll see how that goes, right? So I'm 10 minutes in. That's good. I feel like I've been relatively talkative for myself. I just went for a run, so I like to exercise, and I feel like running just kind of clears my mind, and it just kind of puts me in a balanced state. So exercise is a big deal for me. Okay. So I'm gonna I have like a bunch of books or whatever if I get stuck in a situation, and I have a bunch of like icebreaker questions, and I'll eventually get to your questions as well. So I might be all over the place, or we'll see where this goes. Okay, so still in my basic introduction. I live in the state of Delaware. I got this cool little cutting board. And I live right here, and it's called Rehoboth Beach. It's a pretty popular area, and I'm super lucky to live here and to be able to work in this area. It's kind of like a retirement area. So yeah, that's Delaware right here. Second smallest state. And I've lived here. Oh, maybe you can see it, maybe not. I think I need to be like up here. So I'm like right here. So I lived in Delaware most of my life. I went away to college about 2 hours upstate Delaware to the University of Delaware. And I kind of like the slower pace of living down here. It's the beach vibes or whatever. Big cities don't appeal to me that much. I don't think I'm ever gonna really live in like a big city unless I was forced to. I just don't see the appeal. Basically, big cities, I could feel like it's overwhelming with a lot of people. So back to the state of Delaware. If you've ever heard of Dogfish Head beer, that's kind of what we're known for in lower Delaware. That's kind of where it originated. My degree that I got at the University of Delaware is finance, and I really don't use it for my job. In college I feel I was kind of directionless in a way that I didn't know totally what I wanted to do, and I feel like it's somewhat common. So I just figured I would get this degree and it couldn't hurt. But college, I feel like I've grown a lot since when I was in college. I don't want to say I was a lost soul, but uh, I had a tough time in college, but I made it out alive. Uh, so I work right now currently at a funeral home, and I'm a media specialist, and I've been there for 11 years, and it's just been a really good fit. And I'll get more to my job here in a little bit, but my notes about that are down there. Um, so next section is just me physically, kind of what I look like. I know you guys type kind of by what a person looks like. I know it's not your main thing, it's just part of it, kind of like a confirmation in a way. Uh, but basically, I'm tall and lanky. I don't know if you can see me, but yeah. Hey. I'm 6'1" and 170 pounds. And I used to be actually like really skinny. I know Dave kind of talked about this in one of his videos, and I graduated high school probably like 6'1" and like 130 pounds. So I used to get picked on about my weight like all the time, and I'm pretty easygoing, but it's definitely affected me in a way. So I feel happy, just putting on weight though. So I've always been athletic, and I could always run. I wasn't always the best athlete, but I would participate, and some sports I was definitely better than others. I played sports growing up. Once I was in high school, I focused on soccer and tennis. Those were decent sports. I feel like not a lot of people played at them, so if you're like an okay athlete, you'll be pretty good at those sports. I still play pickup soccer at the local high school, and it gets tougher. It was really tough last year, just recovery and everything. My knees would hurt for like the next like day or two. And but I enjoy it a lot, and I'm still competitive, and I'm still like one of the best players out there. And I'm playing with kids in their 20s and early 30s, and I can still be pretty good. Soccer, I like to watch soccer as well. That's probably, I don't know. It's one of my favorite sports. So I've ran in a couple Spartan races, and I've done a couple 5Ks. It's not usually me initiating those activities, but I kind of just tag along if someone wants to do them. I'm kind of like a social 5K person. You've heard of like a social drinker or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of made that up, but and I'll get into this my sleep schedule, but usually those races are like super early in the morning, and that's kind of like the last thing I want to do on my days off. So about 20 minutes in almost. Not 20 minutes yet. Okay. Physically, for my size, I have smaller hands, but that's okay. They're kind of like feminine hands as well, but again, that's all right. I have okay teeth, pretty good teeth. I had braces. I'm kind of balding in certain areas. I'm not huge on that, but it is what it is. I used to wear glasses, and I've had LASIK surgery. And LASIK surgery's been awesome. It was kind of expensive, but it's been such a good purchase. Yeah, about me physically, I kind of have a hook nose as well, if you can see that. But I'm not. I used to be pretty self-conscious of that growing up. But now, as an adult, it's kind of whatever, and I don't mind it as much. It kind of makes me unique. So that's, about me physically. I've had trouble kind of finding someone who's similar to how I look as well. And I know it's kind of like the body language thing as well. And like some people, it's not also the way that you look, but it's also how the people move. So I just haven't found like someone I definitely look like, and that's kind of also making me like 100% of my type as well. So I looked at like one type, and I'm like, none of these guys or girls are smiling. I was just like, that's kind of weird. So, if I don't look like anybody, I don't look like anybody. Not a big deal. But there's a couple people I think I do look like. Just not 100%. Also, my hair. This is my natural hair color as well. So, brown hair color. Okay, I've always had short hair as well, most of my life. The beard is kind of new within the past couple years. I want to say 2 or 3 years. I won't ever grow it out super like big. I feel like I shave about like once a week, and I keep it about this length, so that works for me. For whatever reason, I had in my notes here, if you want to see what I look like more, you can see my pictures on Instagram. My username is prbecker23. Again, that's PR, B as in boy, BECKER 23. Anyone can follow me. It's kind of a shameless plug. I usually don't do this or whatever. I have like a little over 100 some Instagram people, but it'd be cool if someone would want to follow me. I guess I'll follow you back. Okay, so right now I think that's kind of what I want to do for my intro. Right now I have a segment where I was going to do just a random question, and I just Googled random icebreaker questions. So I may or may not want to answer this, but I'll be spontaneous, I suppose. Or maybe I'll keep going until I can answer one. It's interesting. Okay, so it's just a random icebreaker generator where you can click. What is the best example of a community you have seen, is the question. Again, The question is, what is the best example of a community you have seen? Okay. So I've been in a couple, I guess, work communities. And I guess the current work job situation I'm in is the best example. You know, I work at the funeral home, and we have a ton of employees. It's a big funeral home. You know, they say that they treat everyone like family or whatnot, and it's a very close-knit group, I suppose. And I guess we all have a similar mentality. I don't know. But everyone just gets along, you know, okay. So that's the best example. Not the biggest best question, or you're not going to get the biggest explanation from me, but maybe I'll do a couple others in the future. Okay. I also was on your Discord, and I was going to do those questions as well. Or I don't know if it's the OPS Discord. And I don't know what happened, but all the questions just disappeared. Okay, so that kind of stinks. So I guess that's out of the picture for this. I'm going to go back to my Google Notes. Okay, so I guess I'll talk about my job a little bit. I'm a media specialist, and for the funeral home, and we have 5 funeral homes. So, you know, it's a full-time job. It's 40 plus hours a week, and you know, I'm always I always have something to do. I'll put it that way. You know, it's not a job where I can slack off too much. And, you know, that gives me a good purpose or whatever. And it's just a great fit. And I feel like as cheesy as this sounds, you know, I'm a productive member of society. And, you know, I wasn't always that. So, it's good. So what I do is I'm in charge of slideshows for all the funeral services, all the music. You know, I put that on. We have like a CD system. We give people CDs. We stream the services, or we video record them, and then I upload them to our website. So I just deal with, you know, it's not super technical, but you have to be focused, and I feel like not a lot of people can focus that well. And I have a good work ethic. You know, when I'm at work, I just push it up a couple gears. You know, when I'm home, I'm just like super lazy, you know, especially during the work week. I don't get much done, so I'm just like in work mode, and I'll get to that later maybe in my state of mind. But maybe I'm bragging or whatever, but I'm a pretty good worker. I'm a pretty good employee, I feel. But that wasn't always the case. I have to be in certain situations. If I have like a really bad boss, or a boss that I don't get along with, things can get bad, really bad, and I'll just have a bad attitude. And I've noticed that in life, like even if I had a bad like coach, or if I have a coach who doesn't know how to maximize my potential, I won't be that as good as I can be. So back to what I do. Okay, so I had a technical glitch or difficulty. Basically, with this camera, I can only record up to 30 minutes. So I lost about 30 minutes of content here, so I'm not exactly happy, but because I was doing so well and I was just surprised I was able to talk for, an hour without, constant, without much difficulty. So this is kind of the second part of my video. It's only about, it's been about 15 minutes. I took maybe a 15-minute break or so. So that first part was kind of just basic introduction of me, and I'm going to answer your questions here in a little bit. What I lost was my hobbies or whatnot. So I'm going to attempt to do this again. So one of my favorite things to do is watch the stock market. It's just I feel like it's such a good, there's nothing like it, and I feel like any individual can participate, so no matter how down on your luck you are, you can always achieve what the highest businesses in this world are. So just something so unique, and I've been fascinated with, and I was a finance major, and even though you don't get taught too much about the stock market, it's a hobby of mine. So I kind of do my own thing, do my own investments, and I've been, successful, and I feel like I have a knack for it, as I'm a pretty patient person. Like, I just lost 30 minutes of, good material for this video, and that might dissuade some people, but no matter what, I was going to finish this video today. So even though it's 7:30 at night, I gotta finish it just because I have a lot of stuff in the future. I'm gonna be busy with. I host on Airbnb, for example. So back to the stock market. I love to invest. I don't know if it's in my nature or if it's been through nurture, though my father instilled a lot of saving your money type attitude within me, but I think I've taken it to the next level. Basically, I can withhold short-term pleasure for future success. I feel like that's pretty important. This is how I'll be successful in life, through the stock market, I feel. I've maybe thought about creating an own business, but I don't have the energy, I suppose, or I'm not that, I won't take that big of a risk, I feel, unless it's a small percentage of my money. I used to not be, I've kind of had to learn my own successful investment strategy. So I've read Warren Buffett. That's the major one I used to start out with. Buffett. I read him, and he's such a difficult read, really, especially if you read his company letters to the shareholders. Or he just has a weird writing style, and it's not. I know you typed him as a lead in T and maybe an IP as well. So one of those, but he reminds me of Carl Jung's reading her writing style, and it's so difficult for me to grasp. You know, I pick up bits and pieces of it, the main important things, but just like, what am I reading here? And Buffett, he'll be the first to tell you that he's not a good teacher, and he's not. And I read so much of his material, and I did learn to basically just hold your stock if you believe in it, no matter what. So, but I found like other teachers, like my favorite is probably Peter Lynch, and Lynch is more down to earth, and he's almost motivational, and instead of Warren Buffett's very cautious, Buffett will tell you just to invest in index funds, and Peter Lynch is very inspirational. He's like, you can do this. Stock investing is not that hard, and it really isn't if you kind of know what you're doing. For me, it just kind of clicked one day. I've done years and years of research and just reading whatever I could get my hands on for this. But I feel like I found something that clicked for me and that I feel confident in doing. So I've also read some Stanley Druckenmiller, Phil Fisher. I don't want to get into that, but basically, like Starbucks is like one of my favorite stocks, and my investment philosophy is kind of like Warren Buffett is. Like, he's a very fundamental based investor, and it's like reading company reports, reading the company 10Ks or quarterly reports. And for me, just reading those, I was a finance major. I did all this financial jargon, and it's just like, it's not intuitive how you do things. It's and I'm not saying I'm an intuitive. I have no idea what my type is, and I'll accept whatever type you give me. But it's just a lot of that accounting stuff, terminology that I hate, and Buffett kind of embraces it, how he gets his conclusions, how to invest, buy stocks. But I'm much more of a I know you had like a Bitcoin investment crypto type video. So basically, if the stock goes up, I'm kind of like a growth investor, or what you call like a chartist in a way. If the stock, this is Starbucks stock, if it keeps going up, most likely it's gonna keep going up again. So Starbucks, you look at the 5-year chart, the 10-year chart, that's a great stock. You just kind of want it to go on a, ideally not to have super big swings, but right now it's a great time to invest in Starbucks. So yeah. So that's that on stocks. And I have individual stocks I could get more into, but from my other content that I lost, I was surprised I didn't get through all my notes, which I do have 6 pages of Google Doc notes. I guess I over prepared for this, but I was kind of worried I was gonna run out of things to say, or just be kind of awkward and not say anything. So I feel good doing this video, though. Maybe about 10 minutes in this one. Again, thank you for your patience, or if you're watching this, you're my hero. I think now is a good time for an icebreaker generator question. I don't know if I did one in my previous content, but basically I have a random icebreaker generator, just a random question. Clickety click, which trap in Home Alone was the best? I mean, obviously, I think people will remember that when he stepped on the nail. that was, a scene that I think everyone remembers. Not a great question. I'm going to go again. What is your most used phone app? Probably the stock one. I'm pretty addicted to that. Okay. So, I talked about my job and how I'm a media specialist. I feel kind of silly because, I'm bragging about how good I'm with technology, and of course, I forgot to realize that the camera had a shut off time of 30 minutes to record. It's one of those DSLR cameras, and it's not a video cam recorder, but still does a pretty good job on a good picture. So, okay. So I work for that. Also, one of my side jobs is I host on Airbnb, and I got a couple stories. I enjoy it. I've done it for like 6 years now, and I host people. It's in a shared space in my house. So I used to do it like every day in the summer, but I've had to scale back some because I had a bad experience last year, and I had this girl. She wanted to stay for 2 weeks. She booked, and I was kind of blinded by the money. But she was local, so that was the first red flag. And she ended up, I think she was a druggie, but some people eventually down the road, they knew of her. I want to get some water. My voice is kind of... So, it was a very kind of weird situation. She was actually, we had mutual Facebook friends. So I didn't think it would be like a huge deal. I didn't think she was like just a complete mess. But she didn't have a vehicle. She was coming from a hotel. And, she got dropped off. She had, a vape pen or cigarettes, and I was just like, no smoking inside the house or whatever. And she was kind of like arguing with me about it. And so the first night was okay, but the second night she brought back a random person, and it was kind of crazy because I was going out for Chinese food, and I saw her just kind of walking with this guy, and they came back late at night, like 10:30 at night, and I'm not a confrontational person, I don't think, but it was just super late at night, and I had to go to work the next day, and I ended up not getting like any sleep whatsoever, just because I didn't know who was in my house, and yeah, it was a big hoopla. I ended up kicking her out the morning of, and she agreed to it, but she kind of she was sketchy, and if you do something like that, I mean, that's never happened to me in hosting, and I've hosted, I think I said, 6-7 years. I have over 400 reviews on Airbnb. It's just something you don't do, and most of my people that I've hosted have been great, and they're usually couples, or people from the other areas, Washington D.C., Philadelphia, that come down. So that was an interesting case. That was a headache. Then I had another guy. He reminded me of Dave Ramsey. I think he was I think he was like an ENTJ guy, and he was an older guy. He's probably in his 60s or retirement age, but he was definitely kind of an intense individual, like Dave Ramsey-esque, and if you have, he'll fight you if you have an issue or whatever. And I had other guests here that they confirmed that this guy was there was something off with this guy. Like he was, my Airbnb guests share a bathroom, and this guy, he tried to it was a lady and her daughter or whatever, and he would try to go into the bathroom without knocking, for example. So one day I was leaving work. He was here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. I was leaving work, and people are supposed to usually just kind of stay in the room. I do have a shared area, but I don't advertise it on Airbnb. It's just kind of like a added bonus. And I have a television, but I don't have cable. And he got all upset about, the television didn't work or he didn't have cable. So, I'm leaving for work, and he's like, how does this television work? And I told him, well, I don't have cable. I do have, Chromecast. If, you hook it up to Netflix or whatever, you can do it that way. So he gets all upset and, whatever. But that kind of agitated me. And, because I'm just leaving for work. It's the last thing I need. So this guy ends up writing me a bad review. And, I also had some ants in the kitchen, but that's okay. He's perfectly acceptable to say that about the ants. But just leaving bad reviews on Airbnb, it's like whatever. I have really good reviews, and so it does kind of get under my skin. I feel he was kind of vindictive in that way, but he listed that the television didn't work. So me being I guess a vindictive bastard as well, found a loophole to get Airbnb to remove that review because he complained about the television, which wasn't listed on the Airbnb, whatever advertisement that I advertised for. It says I have no television. So that's my story of outsmarting the guy that I presume to be, an ENTJ, person. I feel, in a weird way that, I can match wits with that guy, Dave Ramsey, being no offense to Shan being the ENTJ, but I don't think she's that variation of the ENTJ, but I do get satisfaction of kind of outwitting that type of personality. So I don't know what that says about me, but whatever. I feel like I'm pretty low key, and so whatever. Anyways, I thought those were two kinds of interesting stories. I don't know what that reveals about myself. About 15 minutes deep into the second part. So let's, I guess, go into your questions, because I barely touched on those on my first time. What's your average week like? I wake up around, I wake up around 7 to 8 a.m. I have to go to work by 8:30 a.m. But I can definitely wake up, and I'll stay in bed basically, and I do that on the weekends as well. I'll sleep in on the weekends 9 a.m. but I'll still just lay in bed for an hour, 2 hours even. So I'm in a good routine. I do suffer from insomnia. That's another part of one of your questions. What's your biggest stressors in life? Insomnia is one. But I'm thinking getting ahead of myself. This is my average day, week. I go to work. I get there pretty late compared to everyone else. Like, a lot of people get to work like early, and I feel that's kind of weird, kind of just like a waste of time. But they're further away from me. I was never one to get to work like super early. because you're just kind of wasting your time. I'm a good worker. I work hard. There isn't a lot of time for down, goofing off in my job. So I don't want to. I forget what I talked about or where the cutoff was, but I work at the funeral home. We have a decent amount of employees. We have 5 funeral homes. I'm kind of like the tech guy. We do have a tech company that works on everyone's computers remotely. But if someone has like a relatively easy question, I'm the guy that they go to. Like if they have a problem with Outlook, if they can't get like the calendar to work, that's something I can fix easily without outsourcing to our tech company that will take, a couple hours to respond to. So I'm not going to talk much about my job because I think I've done that. But basically during my work week, Monday through Friday after work, I'm pretty useless. I'm pretty lazy after work, and I like just to like wind down. I definitely get amped up during work, and I like to wind down. But I feel like during the work week, I don't expend that much energy. I'm not a person to go to the bar, you go out for food afterwards. I like to, in a way, I'm like conserving my energy. But I just don't like to plan stuff after work because that's very draining in a way. So I do most of my chores like I save them for the weekends, and that doesn't help me. But I'm a homebody type person. I can go, days without going out. I mean, going in public, should I say? I'll be outside, but I really don't have that opportunity to do that anymore now that I work, and I work a lot. It's like some days I work 6 days a week. With the Airbnb, I feel like I'm working like every day in the summer. But I do like to exercise after work, though. That's the one thing that kind of keeps me going. I have a home gym in my garage, just some weights, and I'm big on exercise. I think I have able to put on some weight, so that's good for my body type. Family type stuff. I come from a pretty small family. I have a sister. We're not super close, or we weren't super close growing up, but now that she moved away, and she had a child, she lives overseas, actually in France. I think she wants me to be, involved in her child's life a little more. My parents are still married. My dad goes to Florida. He's in Florida right now for the winter, and hopefully that becomes me when I'm older, just because the cold weather is just such a drag, and it's definitely seasonal type depression, and I get a funk a little bit, but I've learned to be outside. I need to get outside and just even walk just for a little bit. Usually like after work, I'm on my laptop like a lot. It's like bad, but as long as I'm not playing like video games or playing online poker, it doesn't drain me as much. So tell us about one of the most stressful times in your life, and that's it was after college. I was unemployed, and my parents were like big time enablers. They were just like, oh yeah, you can, they weren't going to kick me out or anything. So I lived like rent free at my parents' house for like 2 to 3 years without a job. This was around 2008, but it was definitely like my fault. for sure. Like I can get kind of, uh, I was just in a bad headspace, and I had kind of just negative work experiences where they just, I wasn't, it's taken me a while to become what I am. And I was almost afraid to be like in the tribe or whatever, to be a worker. And like my last job before college, it was just at like Outback, but I just like quit on the spot, and it was just, silly. And didn't quit on the spot, I just didn't show up to work the next day. Um, but I'm grateful for like my work. I did have a couple of jobs before that, um, working as a dishwasher, busboy, and just that life experience is like invaluable. Okay, time wise, I think I'm about 20 some minutes in this one, so I don't have that much time. Uh, I want to go about an hour. I'm doing pretty good speaking off script. Most of this has been off script, where I just glance at my notes. Uh, yeah, so I was unemployed for a while, and it's easy for me to see the negative in people, and I need to work on looking at the positive attributes of people. So that's just something I've become better at doing, but sometimes that's just where I go to initially. It's very easy for me to especially with typology, I feel like I can uh, get a vibe for a person pretty quickly, but sometimes it's wrong, and I can, and I'll think that, get a first impression that, they're super selfish or whatever, and I don't see their good traits, and they can still be super selfish. Uh, but sometimes it's a balance, right? So yeah, if I don't have a job, it's a bad thing. I need something to like balance me, and I just got stuck in a rut. And once like 2008 hit, I just felt bad, and I just didn't have a job after college. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, and I wasn't going to use my degree, I feel, in any meaningful capacity, and I didn't. So to get where I'm at right now, it feels like a miracle. I'm a pretty successful person in work wise. Like relationship wise, I'm not successful, and that's just, it's been that's, I guess, not one of the more stressful times in my life. But what's one of your biggest challenge in life right now is relationships. Point here is to get really what I care about. I mean, I guess I care about it. I haven't been able to maintain, a significant relationship in my life, and that's kind of, it's sad to admit, really. But I can go on the dating apps, and maybe had short, relationships when I was younger. Um, but it's definitely a challenge, and the thing is with relationships with me, it's like super super intense. And if I'm dating someone or just going on like one date, it's just like, oh, like my mind, it's just super overwhelming. And either I can't see myself with them, or the other way, they can't, I get rejected, which is fine. But the dating app thing, I think you had a video on it. It's just, I don't know if that's ever, I mean, my expectations for that is like nothing. So that is what it is. I mean, I'm 38. I can, I would, one of your questions, what is your ideal life in 10 years now? I would like to be in a relationship, but I'm 38 years old. I kind of see where this pattern's going, but I remain optimistic in that way. So, my other. So I ran out of room once again on the second part, and this is actually the day after that I did my recording. I got about 60 minutes in, and this is going to be quick. It just seemed weird to put all that effort in and have the video cut off without a proper outro. So I pretty much covered everything I thought I was going to cover. There was like a couple of things like where I visited and how I like to read graphic novels. But that's pretty much it. So once again, I appreciate if you're watching this for the accurate typing, if you choose to type me, or if you're just watching it, whatever. So, peace out.